Welcome to Behind the Hard Hat. Real conversations with people who wear the hard hats and their spouses supporting them in the gear, on the rigs and equipment, and in the field. We're stepping onto site into real stories, struggles, and successes of blue-collar life. You're in the right place. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Behind the Hard Hat. I am super excited today. I'd like to welcome Lucille, also known by her alias, the Rig Movin Chick, to the podcast. Lucille is a rig mover in the oil and gas industry. In 2012, she started as a swamper and worked her way up to operating a winch truck. It's a career that's taught her resilience, confidence, and how to thrive in a field that's still largely male-dominated. Outside of work, she's passionate about health and fitness, proving that you can maintain a healthy lifestyle no matter the truck driver stereotype. She also creates content and gives people an authentic look at life in the trades, including the real ups and downs of being a rig mover. And I also hear she makes some mean sourdough bread. So I would like to welcome Lucy. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story.
Thank you. I'm super, super excited to be here.
So nice to finally connect with you because I actually believe we worked together back in 2018. And we may have kind of slightly known each other back then, but we didn't know each other directly. So it's nice to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Lucy, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into oil and gas and moving rigs.
Well, as one does when they're young and they don't really have a career path in mind, we need to figure out how to make a living. And I stumbled into like a labor position. I was making rod boards for anyone who knows what a rod board is. And that's kind of a dead end job. And then I had a friend who moved drilling rigs and was like, hey, why don't you give this a shot? So through a friend, I kind of got the job. You know, you put in a good word for me. Otherwise, I don't think they would have looked twice at me. And lo and behold, I got hired and I started swamping.
Yeah, it's always about the connections that we have, right? Who you know in industry and who would be willing to give you a chance.
Yes, the giving me a chance was a huge deal. Like since I've started like so long ago, like 14 years now, we've seen a ton of women come into the industry and like I love it. As soon as I see another girl on lease, like we are BFFs. They just, don't always know it, but like I love seeing other women out there. It's awesome. If they're there to work, like I will be their biggest fan.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, a great mentor for other people who are getting started. So it sounds like you were quite interested in working with your hands at a young age, but what do you think drew you in to the trades?
I grew up on a farm, so it might have just been ingrained into me. Like I was just raised that way. I was always out helping my dad feed the cows or do whatever chores needed to be done, haul hay, just anything like that. I wasn't really a big fan of heavy equipment back then or like the tractors or anything. I'm not sure. I was kind of scared of it. So it's kind of weird that I ended up in this industry with all this big equipment. But I think honestly, that's probably what prompted it. I had no idea what I was going to be when I grew up. I had no career path in mind. I just honestly stumbled into this.
That's cool though. I don't know if you can remember back then, but what was your first day as a swamper like on a rig move? Or do you remember?
Oh, I remember. Who can forget anything like that? It was not far from home, actually. It was probably only like 20 minutes from home. And they put me on the picker. It was November, so starting to get cold. I had no idea, not a clue on anything. And he chain smoked one after another in the cab. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And then on top of that, I ended up with strep throat. So I was not having the best time. So I remember that day vividly. I don't know why at that moment I was like, oh my God, like this is not for me. It just, whatever happened, I just kept going with it and actually had a lot of fun and I loved it.
And sorry, Lucy, I was just thinking as I was using some of the, not really slang, but some of the language around it. Some of our viewers who are maybe in construction or different trades actually might not know the role of a swamper. So do you want to explain that for some of our viewers, just in case?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually get this question quite a bit. So basically, you have the driver who drives the truck, and then you have the swamper or like a laborer that does kind of the grunt work. I would hook them up to loads, guide them back, like give them hand signals. When it comes to the drilling rigs, everything has a place it's got to be. You start with the sub, and then the doghouse goes on the doghouse side, and that's say 36 inches away from the sub. So I have my measuring tape and I measure 36 inches out. I guide him back. I tell him where everything's got to be. I stop him. I tell him to either push it back, pull it ahead. I communicate with the tool push or the motorman or the driller or whatever, what load they want spotted next. I'm basically like, I just give direction from the ground.
And it's a very busy role. There's a lot happening on location in the middle of a rig move. It's a very dangerous operation, actually. So did you know that going in?
No, I had not one single clue. I knew what the drilling rigs were. I loved them. I love the drilling rigs. I don't know. I cannot explain to you what drew me into it. I don't know, just seeing how hard everyone works or what it is, but my ex, he worked on the drilling rigs, and I went out a couple times with him when he did rig watch, and I just thought it was so cool. He let me run the loader, stuff like that. And then yeah, I just needed a career change, and this is a perfect like happy medium, because I knew working the rigs wasn't for me. Not saying women can't do it, because I do know some women who are roughnecks and motormen, and that's insane. Like that's super cool. I could do it, but I just knew that career wasn't for me.
Yeah, and this is a way to be involved in a really critical task and to have a really professional career like you've developed. So, okay, so thinking back to that original experience, you're the swamper, you have strep throat. How did that go? What kept you in it after day one? Or what were your thoughts after day one?
Wait, I don't know. I truly can't remember that part. And I always kind of laugh because a lot of my coworkers, they have such vivid memories of so many things, and I laugh and I always joke that, oh, I block that trauma out. That's just trauma. I just block it out, because there is certain parts that I don't remember. I don't know how I kept plugging along with it. The picker wasn't my truck. I swamped on like a little teeny tiny little single steer bed truck for a long time, like basically a glorified tractor. And I can't remember what happened. I think he might have got a tractor and he didn't need a swamper anymore. So then I moved on to the bigger bed trucks. And that's where I thrive. I love the bed trucks. Picker has never been my thing.
From there, do you want to tell us how your career developed from being a swamper?
Basically, I would say I was in and around 3 years in when it finally clicked to me that if they can do it, I can do it. If these guys can drive these trucks, I can also do that. Because before then, I was honestly content with being a swamper. I loved my job as a swamper. It was so fun. Like, just, it's so fun because it's you get to be in charge a little bit. Like, a little bit. If you're good at your job, you do anyways. Like, I like having to gather the information. I like spotting the buildings. I loved it. So I didn't really crave getting into the driver's seat for a long time. I was a really, really late bloomer when it came to that. And then I think it was about, 5 years into it before I actually went to get my class one. And then it was it wasn't a full year. It's probably another 6 months after that before I decided, you know what, it's time to get in a truck.
What drove you to go get your class one? When did you have a mentor at this point in time? Was your company encouraging you, or was it something that you were just driven to do?
Yeah, like I said, it was just, if they can do it, I can do it. And the driver I had for the bulk of my swamping career, he taught me so much. He taught me so much. And not only did I learn so much from him, I learned a lot of what not to do. I got to watch from the ground when we're doing recoveries, or when we're, this guy's all corkscrewed with his load on, or this, like, I got to see so much from the ground. I might not have been in a truck learning, but that has helped my career so much, being able to swamp for 6 years and see all kinds of different situations and help, the good, and helping all the good drivers too, and like learning from them. I was always learning when I was on the ground and my truck wasn't moving. I was helping tractor hands load and unload. I was hanging around the truck push when he was doing whatever he had to do, if he's helping another truck. If there was a like senior swamper on location, one that had more experience with me, I was following him around doing whatever he had to do, kind of learning from him. I was always picking up little tips and tricks basically from anyone that I worked with.
Yeah, I think a good mentor in that situation would truly be critical, and good team leads for a rig move, because so much happens on a rig move. They always say have your head on a swivel. Literally there's vehicles and trucks and rig equipment and loaders and all sorts of different things happening. There's moving pieces all around you, literally.
Yes.
What do you think, like in that, I'm just imagining what that would be like, or maybe I'm kind of thinking back into some of my first rig moves. What was good mentorship like for you? Like, what did this mentor do in particular you think helped you?
It's kind of funny. Like, I think we're both a little bit obsessed with rig moving. I think that's the thing. You get someone who really, really loves their job, and it's good. And he chewed on me lots over the years. But I will say, say we're done the rig move, we hop in the pickup, because I swamped on the Commander, so it got hauled everywhere. So we hop in the pickup, we're done for the day. Let's talk about the day. What did I do good? What did I do bad? Like, we would debrief basically about our days. And I feel like eventually he shifted into letting me make more decisions, and he wouldn't tell me what to do so much. So that was super cool. And we bickered here and there about things, but that one thing I was like, he taught me everything I know, so he should listen to me, right? Like, he's the one who taught me what to do in this situation or anything like that. So yeah, I think we both really loved moving rigs, and that helped a lot.
I feel like so much pride just oozing out of me listening to your story and thinking about my story and thinking about some of the mentors that I've had in my life. And that was one of the things that one of the mentors that I think was really instrumental in my career was that he always would ask, what did you do well? What could you improve on? And then his other third really big thing to me was always prepare. Prepare. Be prepared for everything as much as possible. Have everything in order, have everything organized, and it doesn't matter what the task is, but be as prepared as possible. And that went so far.
Oh, absolutely. He taught me to be like proactive instead of reactive, not just let things happen. Like, have a little bit of foresight, be a step ahead of the game kind of all the time.
And I think that would be so critical with regards to safety in that situation as well, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely helped a lot, because like you said, on a rig move, an hour into tear out, there's trucks just going every which way, and it's like chaos. Like, you stand back and you look around and you're like, holy shit, like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's so much going on. And then you look and they're like heading off location, you're like, oh, stop that truck. We gotta put something on it. Or, we gotta tie that down. There's just stuff happening every which way. So it's so much. I don't even know how to describe it for someone who hasn't seen a rig move happen. But how many loads is the biggest rig that you've moved?
Oh, geez. I would say like a lot of rigs are 75 to 90 loads these days. I feel like the last one we moved, it was a 2-day or a long day, and then like kind of more of a shorter day. We moved a lot of loads. There was a lot of stuff there. It kind of depends on the rig. Some of them stay pretty neat and tidy, but some I'm assuming it's all going to depend on their drilling program and what they need for things that are completely above my head.
What do you think, you stepped into day one, you started learning. What do you think kept you there? What made you successful? What traits do you have, or what drove you?
Well, number one would be the paycheck. But, and I've said this to every single swamper that is new that, I was able to talk to, this job, if you're here just for a paycheck, you're not going to last. So that's number one. That'll get you in the door. But number two, you got to love what you do. You absolutely have to love it, because there's days out there that are hard. A lot of days are easy, especially these days. Even from when I was a swamper till now, it's gotten easier substantially. But there are days that'll test every single limit you have. And I guess I like that. I like being tested. I like seeing what I'm made out of.
Mm-hmm. To expand yourself, what do you think is underneath that? Like continual learning, or just like experience, or
I think I just like a sense of accomplishment every day. When you go move a rig, there is a massive sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. Those 70 to 90 loads that were there that morning, they're not there anymore. You can visually see the progress you've made that day, and I love that.
Absolutely. And I imagine there would be some sort of, especially as a swamper too, there would be some sort of accomplishment in like how many steps you put in a day. There's a physical exhaustion and physical probably component to the success as well, right? Not only loads, but like I just
absolutely.
did 30,000, 50,000 steps, whatever it ends up being.
And when I first started, I could not lift the sling high enough to hang it. I would have to pick it up, stand on the building. He would have to back up a little bit, and I would just do everything I can to get it up there. And then a few months in, I was whipping that thing around like it was nothing, right? So that's super cool too. Like, I love that. Yeah, I love working with my hands. I love, using my body for work, getting lots of steps in, being out in the elements. The mud's probably the least fun, to be honest, because there were some days at the end of the day, like the machine I swamped on, it's generally not there because the lease is good. Usually it's there because nothing else can move on that location. And there was many a days where I'm walking around with, when your boots, your Dunlops, like they are packing like 30 extra pounds of mud. That's what I was walking in all the time. And there was days where it felt like there was glass in my knees by the end of the day. It was so brutal. And then climbing up and down that ladder, didn't know what was harder some days, either climbing up into the machine to get a ride or just walking across the muddy lease, because either way, my body was exhausted.
Mm-hmm. For sure, a very physical job, like you said. Oh, man, the mud, yeah. Not a fan of mud in any capacity. Not even on my dirt bike. I avoid it like the plague, like water or mud.
I love driving in it. The other day, I just felt like I was on top of the world. Me and another driver roll onto lease, and we have the same loads. And the lease was soft the day before, but it poured. And so they were just pulling our loads off. So the bed truck lines up to pull his load off, and I get mine all unchained, and they still weren't done yet. And I said, hey, can I give it a try? Like, I think I can get my load on the ground. And I did. I got my load on the ground, rolled out from under it by myself, and drove off the lease by myself while the other guy had to get pulled off. I'm like, I'm a baddie.
One point for Lucy.
Yeah, I love that. Cleaning the mud, don't love that, but I do love driving in it.
Yeah, the satisfaction of a hard day's work and putting in all the effort. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at some point in time, you decided to start sharing your story. And so a lot of people might know you as the Rig Movin Chick, right? And so what was your inspiration to start sharing your story on social media?
Well, truly, there wasn't. There was not. I've always kind of had Instagram and, shared a little bit here and there, nothing too crazy. And then when TikTok came out, I didn't know what I was doing. I had zero clue that I was going to have an audience of any kind. And compared to like an influencer or whatever, my numbers are still pretty low. But for me, for someone who's never set out to do what I'm doing with social media, I am blown away. This is insane. Like people, yeah. Anyways, I just stumbled upon it. I just started posting and started getting views. And so then I had to make a decision like, do I stop posting or do I kind of like put stuff out there in the world intentionally instead of I'll just willy-nilly just post a video or whatever? Because at some point you got to realize like there's a lot of eyes on you and it is important how people perceive you. You can't just be posting like a hooligan all the time out there. So I just kind of rolled with it. And lately I've really been thinking, you know what, I do have a story to tell. So anytime there's any negativity that comes along with it, I just let it roll off me because that's not going to stop me from telling my story.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think a lot of the messaging is that you want to share with your audience? Is it around the lifestyle? Is it around the physical work? Is it around being a female?
I just want it to be, it's not even just about being a female. Number one, the type of trucking we do, not that many people know about. And unfortunately, we're kind of aging out. I'm young still, but we need people to replace the people that are retiring. In this day and age, how do you get people interested? Social media. That is how you get people interested these days. So that's a really cool thing. And that's not directed to just women. That's men too. We need young men to come out there and learn our trade. And yeah, sure, I want women to know they can do anything they want. It doesn't even have to be trucking. But if you see a scary thing that you want, I want you to know that you can do it. If I'm out there doing what I'm doing, you can do whatever you want to do. And another huge thing for me is I want to try and break the stereotype of what a trucker is. We aren't what's perceived in the world. There's a lot of us that do take care of ourselves, and there's a lot of us that have an active life outside of it. And I also want to show that I'm not just a rig mover. I have a full life outside of work too.
When you go, I'm not just a typical trucker or rig mover, what do you think the general stereotype is of the position or of the people?
Just unhealthy. Truly, that's the biggest stereotype I want to break. They're just super, super unhealthy. And I understand how they would get like that. It's not easy out there. Especially where we truck, we don't have like a ton of access to amazing truck stops or food, or, you got to be pretty picky and then you're tired. We've got long days. It's hard. It is super hard, but it is doable.
When I met you in 2018, we were at least 3 hours from the closest town. And that was if the town had what it was that we would have needed, right? There's no going to town or running to the grocery store. When we look at this stereotype, this typical driver or this typical rig mover who maybe is like chain smoking and overweight and just living an unhealthy lifestyle. We're working 12 plus hours. 12 is probably generous. 12-hour days, right? We're working these huge days. We're away from our families. Hopefully most rig moves aren't at night anymore, but at night sometimes, in the middle of nowhere. What do you do to make sure that you're prioritizing your mental health, your physical health, and changing the stereotype?
So whenever possible, I pack every single thing in my truck. I'm talking cream for coffee. I make my own coffee in my truck. I pack breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Can pack for about 4 days at a time. And it usually does work out where within that 4 days I can restock. And that's what I do. And it's not only do I get to have full control over what I put in my body, it's so convenient. I don't have to stop, say, oh, the restaurant closes at 8 o'clock. I gotta stop at the restaurant or grab something, or, oh, the restaurant's already closed. Well, now it's 7-Eleven or McDonald's or, like anything like that. So it's super convenient and I get full control over everything I put in my body.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah, I used to do that most of the time as well. I packed a cooler and would meal prep. I was gone for longer periods of time, so I would try and make an evening to run to town or something and grab more food, but I could probably meal prep 8 to 12 meals frozen and then pull them out, do a little bit of cooking on site and try and make a healthier choice, which sometimes is hard when you're really, really tired or when it's really cold outside or really hot outside. Could be the
Absolutely
alternative as well. And tell us a little bit about your running, because I know you post a lot about your running as well. So it's not just eating healthy, but you are actively running somewhere between 2 and 10 kilometers.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends on the run. Like the last bit of content that I was posting about running, I was doing a fundraiser for cancer, and it was run 50 kilometers in the month of June to raise money for cancer. I ended up running 150 kilometers because if you're going to do something, you do it. You go
Good for you. Congratulations. So, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it went amazing. I'm very happy on how that turned out. So that is not recommended to run every single day, because I made a promise to myself that I would run every single day, whether it's 2 kilometers or 10 kilometers. I think my longest was 14 kilometers. Yeah, it was 14. Mm-hmm. I do not recommend it. If you're going to run, I would stick to like maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And that's where I want to get back to. I have a slight injury right now that probably was due to overuse. So don't run every single day, but running is really good for you. And I started running just because all I need is a safe location to run and a pair of shoes and some headphones. And that means if I get parked early, I don't need a gym. I don't need anything. It's just 2 feet and a heartbeat, and I can get a quick workout in. I can do something to move my body.
So you literally will get up at 4 a.m, do a 12-hour rig move, and then park your truck beside the road somewhere that's safe and convenient and go for a run. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. If I have time, I do prioritize sleep over absolutely everything. If you're not sleeping proper, there is 0 point of burning the candle at both ends. But, if I get off at a decent time and like I said, I'm in a town that I feel safe, generally not running out in the bush alone on an oil-filled road, probably not a good idea. But yeah, if I'm in a safe town, absolutely, I'm going to put my shoes on. I usually just put my supper on, my little 12-volt cooker, and then I head out and I'll go for a run.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you also train at home too, doing weightlifting and different. Tell us a bit about that.
That's been the bulk of my background. The running didn't start until I think maybe 2 years ago. I kind of got into it just a little bit. Like I said, it was just an easy form of movement that I can do when work's busy, because until today, I hadn't got to train since last Tuesday because work's been busy and life's been busy. And, sometimes a 15-minute run is better than no movement at all. But strength training is my number one priority. I think it is the key to longevity. It's the key to prevent injury. It's the key to healing quicker if you do get sick or injured. It is a lot for me. It's very important.
So what would be your suggestion to someone who maybe is working in trades but doesn't have the health regime that maybe they'd like to have, or isn't it their ideal wellness or well-being? what would you suggest for them?
I would say start small. Start small and habit stack. Um, Start with having a proper breakfast in the morning. Get some healthy fat, protein, and carbs, and maybe go for a 20-minute walk at the end of the day. Start small. You don't have to jump in and do everything all at once, because you will do what I've done in the past when I was like newer and starting out, and tried to do it all and then got completely burnt out or overwhelmed and then quit everything. So just start small. Walking is so underrated. It is very important. So a little bit of nutrition, get some healthy foods in you, and just move your body, and naturally you'll habit stack your way into adding more to your plate.
Yeah, slowly add more and more and just build up your consistency.
Yes.
Well, so that's really cool on the health side. How do you think that impacts your work, having this health regime and maybe your mental capacity?
I think it helps so much, because it's the same concept in the gym as it is at work. I tell myself I can do hard things. I can do anything for one more rep. I can run one more kilometer. I can finish one more day. It's all about, I know I can do these things. I know I can do hard things. And when you voluntarily push yourself to do hard things, it makes it easier when you're at work and things get tough, and you just keep that mindset of, I can do this for, one more day, one more kilometer, one more rep.
Yeah, I always thought that about dirt biking. That's what really comes to mind. I mean, I did that in my career as well. You fall flat on your face, get back up again, keep going. But I think about it a lot with dirt biking because it's such a grueling sport, right? You're riding, you crash, you bruise yourself, you strain things very quickly, and you have to get back up. And that's grueling in itself. You're picking up broken parts or hurt parts. I shouldn't say broken, but hurt parts. But then you're also going to pick up a 300-pound dirt bike right after that, right? Yes. Maybe on the side of a mountain in really inconvenient shale or sand or something that makes it even more difficult, as if all of this, it starts to compound. But every single time that you pick yourself up and you keep going, it's like this resilience, and you get up, you get going, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. And after a long period of time, you don't even recognize yourself because you can see the development that's occurred, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the big thing, is you just keep going, and you keep the promises that you make to yourself.
That's a big one. Can you trust yourself? Do you believe you're going to stay committed to your goals or to your dreams, whatever your vision is?
Yeah, and that's built up over time and repetition.
So tell us, what has been one of your biggest challenges with your career or in your life? We can talk about running or anything that comes to mind, but one of your biggest challenges that you faced?
I think originally, and not so much anymore now that I am where I am today, but originally it was to get someone to give me a chance. Because I am the girl, and back when I started, it wasn't quite as popular. I'm not saying there wasn't women, but it just wasn't as popular, and you'd run into roadblocks like the driver doesn't want to take you to please his wife. That's been a big problem. And if I hadn't have gotten the opportunity I did, I probably would have slipped through the cracks. I probably would have ended up in a different career. And that, I would say, that would have been originally my biggest challenge. And these days it's just, life is a lot all the time. I'm sure everyone can relate to that. Everyone has a different plate. Everyone's plate is filled differently, and everyone's capacity is differently. And I feel like lately my capacity has been challenged. We've got a lot going on in life, and I feel like truly that's the biggest challenge, and to learn to give myself grace when I need it.
Take the downtime. It's like a pendulum, you can reach, But then at some point in time, you are going to need to reset. Like, you're going to have to go out. I know we're talking a bit about your garden. Go and reset. Go be in nature. Relax. I remember.
Just take the pressure off.
Yeah, totally. Everyone needs it. You can't constantly be going and having 100% forward momentum all the time. You have to come back, reset, rest, retreat a little bit, and then continue forward with your next step.
For sure.
I do remember all of the comments that came my way when I said I wanted to go to the field. You know, because you may not know this about me, but I started downtown in sales for drilling contractors. A couple different drilling contractors, and I was trying to get to the field, and it actually took me, I think I did 3 interviews over several different years to get a field position. And I remember all the comments that came to me, but there was this endurance around like having a dream and not stopping. You know, I was bound and determined to get this role, and at the time, I found out later, I didn't know it at the time, but at the time we were in a downturn in the economy and I was in a full-time position. And so, like, thank goodness the manager of the operating company that I went to go work for, he didn't want to hire me and take me out of a full-time position during a downturn to give me a couple months of work in the field as a contractor. And then essentially I would be laid off again, which I didn't know, but, you know, I found this out later. So eventually when the program was big enough that I was able to go to the field and really get some boots on the ground and start building my experience. But I had this unwavering dream, you know, to continue forward and just to continue to push and to see where it would lead, right? And on hindsight, that's all driven by my values. But, I mean, I didn't know that at the time. I just had this crazy dream.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it. I didn't know any of this at the time either. I just kept pushing forward, and I had big dreams, and I was going to get them no matter what.
Determination. What do you think has been one of your biggest achievements?
The first one that comes to mind as a driver, it was 6 months behind the wheel of a winch truck when they put me under the rig for the first time. Now, I know it wasn't very far. I only had to pull the rig 3 kilometers, but 6 months behind the wheel of a winch truck and I'm under a rig. That is crazy. Granted, those guys, they knew my history. They worked with me side by side. They knew, you know, I had good judgment and I took direction, and it was a safe bet that I wasn't going to do anything I shouldn't do. But that, to me, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the fella who made that happen for me. That really meant a lot.
Are you still in touch with them today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was last summer this spring. He seen me on Highway 2 and we chatted for a bit there.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think he gave you the break? Or what do you think made him toss you in?
Well, there's a couple logistical things. I had a flat top bunk, which is very important for the rig. And I think I was the only one with the flat top bunk. So that kind of made me the candidate. That doesn't mean that they could have said, hey, we need your truck. We're going to put someone else in it, which that would have not felt great. But between that and him knowing my history, he basically worked with me from my first winter swamping. So he knew my mentors. He knew my knowledge. And yeah, he trusted me.
I was thinking about when I first took my second, well, it was IWCF, but it's the same as second line to become a well site supervisor. Well control training is what it is, for those who are listening and don't know. But I took the international version of it. And I had this opportunity where my superintendent, kind of on a passing comment, said, have you ever thought about being a well site supervisor? And I was like, well, yes, I have, but I'm green and I would need a lot of support, you know? And then my boyfriend at the time said to me, you'll go take your IWCF, like take it this week and get back to him. And I thought, oh, geez, that seems bold. like it was just a passing comment. It wasn't an opportunity. He's like, no, that was an opportunity. You go take your IWCF safety courses. And I emailed the superintendent back shortly after. And it was about aligning myself with the opportunity I wanted, but setting myself up so that I was the choice. So you just happened to have the truck that was set up properly to haul the rig. I just happened to be the person who would have had all the training and certifications when they needed someone as well, right? So I was lining myself up to be the ideal candidate when the opportunity came, right? And I didn't know if that would be somebody got sick and we got to throw you in, or I didn't know what the opportunity would, how it would present, but I was prepared for when it was coming, basically.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So what practical tools or what mindset habits would you have for people looking to get into moving rigs or getting into like a blue collar industry in general?
Number one would be don't give up. And like you said, put yourself in a position where you do have the credentials. If you can go get your CSO or your H2S or, these like first aid, set yourself up to be an easy candidate, right? Be ready. Another thing would be like, say you already have a class 1 license and you're like, oh my God, what's this winch truck thing? Be willing to swap. Be willing to put aside your pride. And say you've been driving for 3 to 5 years already and you don't want to go work on the ground. Go do it. Go do it for, if you're a fast learner, it might only take you 2 months to catch on to what we're doing, but if it took you 6 months of knowledge, like I said, I swamp for 6 years and that knowledge is irreplaceable. Go swamp before you get behind the wheel of a winch truck. It'll make everyone's life easier, including yours, because so much can happen in a split second, loading or unloading. No matter what kind of driving experience you have, it's very important. And yeah, if you're starting out and you want to be a swamper, just listen. Show up early. Always show up early. If you're not early, you're late. Come prepared. Have multiple pairs of gloves and always a change of clothes.
Yeah.
Ask me how I learned that hard lesson. And just listen and look around and see who's doing really good at your job. And this could be as a swamper or a driver. When I started driving, I was like, okay, that guy's the fastest tri hand we have. If I can even somewhat keep up to that guy, I'm doing really good. And do that as a swamper too. Oh, that guy's on the biggest piece of equipment and he looks like he knows what he's doing. Shadow him when your truck's not moving. Just stuff like that. Just pay attention and listen.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I was always taking on extra work, and I just think that was maybe work ethic as a general value or underlying belief. I think I always just worked very, very hard, but I said yes to everything. Every opportunity, yes. I said yes to it, even if I didn't want to do it. Do you want to take work home and do it on your days off? Yes. I can't imagine anything more fun than working on my days off.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I also, I just was constantly learning. I remember in the early days, I mentioned a boyfriend, and he was a well site supervisor and also a drilling engineer. And so that's actually how we met originally. When I got into drilling, I reached out to him and started asking him questions about drilling. I need to know about drilling rigs, and just learning and asking questions and trying to understand it so that you can pass information on and be proactive in that as well. So it really doesn't matter what trade you're in, but this learning component.
Yeah, no, it's very transferable to life in general.
What advice do you wish you would have had?
The first one that comes to mind might be kind of controversial.
Cool.
I'm going to share it anyways. Not all these men are your friends.
100%.
As a female. Not all these men are your friends.
I would
Truly.
even say not all these people are your friends, because
Right.
I should
Yes.
listen. Because I also had people, being women, that I thought would help me in, if nothing else, encouragement, continue to pursue your dreams. And not all of them were willing to help, or thought that it was a good idea, or had time or capacity. So yeah, I would agree with that. Is there anything else you wanted to add in? I sort of interjected, so.
No, that would be my biggest piece of advice. Like, just be aware. I have had the most amazing mentors throughout my career, but just have some good discernment.
Yeah, pay attention to the people around you, get to know them. Yeah. So what's next for you, Lucy? What are you moving into? Tell us, where are you going?
Well, career-wise, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just chilling. If they need me to pull wheels, like the big wheel combinations, I'll help them out if someone's on days off or they're in a bind or whatever. But career-wise, I just want to do my thing. As much as I love my job, I have my sights set on retirement. I see a lot of my coworkers working, and you know what? If they want to work and that's what makes them happy and they don't have to be there, they're just doing it because they love it. That's amazing, and I'm totally all for that. That could be me. We don't know. We'll see. But as of right now, my sights are set on retirement. I really, really want to retire early, so that means I got to put my head down and work really hard and make sure I'm investing my money appropriately. And in this phase of life, it's going to be new and exciting because in a couple months I'm getting married, and that's crazy to me because at one point I didn't see that happening in my future. Not saying I'm not unlovable. I just had envisioned a future where I just did my own thing. And I'm happy to say that I've met someone that really, really complements my life, and we both have the same values and the same goals, and I'm really excited to start this next chapter with him.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's very, very exciting and good to hear. So what does retirement with this special person look like for you? What are you guys going to do in retirement?
Pardon?
What are you guys going to do in retirement? Like, what's the difference between the lifestyle you live now and work, quote unquote? What is work to you? And then what does retirement look like?
Just doing all the things that we don't have time to do. We would love to do so many other things and have so many other hobbies. We just don't have time for everything. I would love to ride my horses a lot more. I would love to hike more. I would love to go camping more. I'd love to travel around the States. I'd love to travel around Canada. We love road tripping, and he loves riding the sand dunes and just gardening and baking more sourdough and anything like that. Like, we have such a full life that work just isn't in the way of it.
What got you into doing sourdough, baking sourdough?
I would say just that, I don't know if you've noticed lately, like in social media, we're like, maybe it's just the algorithm I have, but it's heavy on the homesteading and I've always been very heavy on the canning and baking and growing everything, and someday ideally raising everything that we consume. And I think I just fell trapped to the algorithm of homesteading, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And I made my own starter from scratch, and I'm crazy, and I have a table full of sourdough, and I'm making more right now as we speak because I don't know, I have a problem.
Yeah, I love that. I remember several years ago there was a directional driller that told me he had blue chicken eggs, and he showed me a photo of his chicken eggs, and I was like, sold! I need a property, I need chickens, I'm doing sourdough, I love canning, put it all together, just living a super simple, wholesome lifestyle.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I just want to sustain our life and feed ourselves to the best of my ability. And once again, work kind of gets in the way of everything I want to do for that too. So.
Okay, well, we will watch out for your amazing sourdough bread. And do you make other things, or mostly just bread, like pancakes or cheese buns?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sourdough pancakes are top tier. Once you've had them, like, you just can't go back. And I make focaccia, and I have failed twice now at making cinnamon buns. I don't know what's going on there, but I will nail that eventually. So anything I can make. Oh, I've made crackers, like discard crackers, and that sounds terrible. Sourdough discard crackers.
Yes.
They're delicious.
I knew what you were
anything saying. I can. Yeah. Anything I can make. I used to can a ton too, and I would really, really like to get back into that. I used to make a lot of zucchini relish. That was a big hit with everyone.
Okay, so we will all watch in the near future for Rig Movin Chick sourdough bread. Or maybe a bakery.
Oh, that would be a dream. Like even a farm stand or like micro bakery. That would be super cool. And I used to be a garlic farmer. I had to dial that back because that was a lot between planting, harvesting, drying, sorting, packaging, answering like filling orders, delivering. It's a lot to balance when you are working the hours that we tend to work. So hopefully in the future, when life slows down a little, I can get back to that a little bit more.
So as we wrap things up, is there anything else that you would like to share that we haven't covered? What would you like to share?
I would just like to say, take a leap of faith on yourself. Do scary, hard things. And don't give up.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's anything.
You can't fail if you never give up.
Exactly.
Well, Lucille, thank you so much for being here and for sharing all of your insights and your story, and even a package of your sourdough bread that looks so amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you tell our audience where they can find you, or how they can connect with you?
You can find me on all 3 socials. I would say Facebook right now. I'm the most active at Rig Movin _Chick. It should be on TikTok. And yeah, basically it's Rig Movin Chick on all the platforms. TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Very cool. I will attach that in the description as well for viewers so that they can find you if they're looking for you.
Awesome. Thank you. It was such a pleasure.
Absolutely. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give a like and subscribe to Mindful Of so you don't miss the next conversation. And most importantly, please share this with someone who needs to hear it. We're working to support blue-collar workers mentally, physically, and emotionally. So your share might make a real difference in someone's life who really needs it. The more focused and clear our minds are, the safer we are at work. Thanks for being part of Behind the Hard Hat. Again, we'll see you in the next episode. Make it a safe day.